on my last straw. I'm broken and I'm woken up. I'm done feeding your lies. I've had enough. I can't run your place.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new McLaren GT.
Words you speak mean nothing more to me. 'Cause I'd start over now. Rewind. And I won't let you go. I need you by my side.
Okay, and here we have it, the brand new McLaren GT. This is McLaren's first take on a dedicated GT sports car, and this is what we have. Exterior color is silica white, and wow, I mean, let's just soak it all in. Let's just walk around, have a look what it's all about. Got the nice tailgate that pops up there. That is so cool. We've got the 675 LT type lights with just a single strip. Massive exhaust pipes down there. These ones are further lower to the ground as compared to the usual midsection type exhaust because of the setup of it. However, it's not the first McLaren to bear the name GT. Back in the 50s, there was the M6 GT, which is more of a race car, just all-out performance. There was the 570 GT more recently, back in like 2011, I believe, and that was their take on a GT car. But it had a 570S, sibling, which is more sporty, and so they made a GT version, which made it a lot more quieter, and all of that. But this is their first dedicated GT sports car. So what is it? GT, as we all know, stands for Gran Turismo, and that's derived from the Italian word Gran Turismo. The idea is to have a two-door, super luxurious, very fast and practical car to ferry off on long journeys. You could drive from Johannesburg to Cape Town, for example, in absolute luxury and comfort. That's the idea behind the GT name. So with this, McLaren has actually started a new genre of car. They have, so we already know they've got the Sports Series, the Ultimate Series, and the Super Series. This starts another level of performance in another category known as the GT. Pretty much, it's right at the bottom where so this is the first one in terms of performance as well as luxury and price. So it's one of the less expensive models that they make. Ooh, they're opening the tailgate. There we go. Look at that. That is so cool. We actually have some golf clubs fitted into there. So that's also very nice. That's pretty cool. So now we've got the GT, Sports Series, Super Series, and the Ultimate Series occupied by the P1, Senna GTR, Speedtail, and the like. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So now for some nerdalicious figures. The engine, we have a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8 engine with 620 PS, 611 brake horsepower, and on this side of the world that's 456 kilowatts, 613 Newton meters of torque. 0 to 100, I believe it's 3 seconds, 3.2 seconds if I'm not mistaken. 0 to 200 is conquered in less than 9 seconds, I believe. Top speed is all the way to 326 kilometers an hour. That is pretty impressive. Now, obviously when this car came out, interesting enough, let me just turn the camera. So very interesting enough is when this car actually came out on the 15th of May 2019, just 2 days before that, on the 13th of May, McLaren was celebrating their 20,000th car to leave the factory in just under 10 years. Because McLaren has the F1, we know that from the 90s, but they kind of took a break. They kind of went away. They did a partnership with Mercedes and brought out the SLR McLaren. That was like 2003 to 2009. And then 2010, 2011, they came back up as McLaren Automotive. And the McLaren MP4-12C was one of their first cars in this new journey that they're on right now. So basically, 2010, 2011, that's when McLaren rebranded, kind of went back to the drawing board and said, you know what, we really want to be up there in terms of performance, not creating stuff that's, super rare, but they want to make, performance cars available to more people and really dominate the performance market. So in just under 10 years, they have managed to create 20,000 cars. I mean, this was on the 13th of May. And the 20,000th car happened to be a 600 LT Spider. 2 days later, they unveiled this. So they're really clearly onto something here. It's pretty impressive. Wow, it's really cool. So now the idea is, obviously, the whole marketing behind this car is breaking the rules, hashtag new rules. Now what does that mean? Now a GT car traditionally has been that which has a front engine, rear wheel drive, 2 seats in the middle, and yeah, that's just been basically the whole mantra of a GT car. But now McLaren has said they've broken the rules. How have they done that? So now, obviously McLaren is known for performance cars and things like that, and they wanted to do a GT car. GT cars are usually front engined, but McLaren has their engine all the way in the back. First thing, GT cars tend to be heavy, so obviously this car goes up against the likes of Bentley Continental GT, Aston Martin DB11 V8, and the like, Porsche 911 Turbo S, and so on and so forth. Portofino, I believe, Ferrari Portofino, you can check it there. And they tend to be heavy because they're very luxurious. For example, a Bentley is over 2 tons. This, on the other hand, is 1,530 kilograms. Now that is insane. So that's number 2. And then boot space. Obviously, with the engine at the back, you're ready for boot space because the other competitors have got massive boot spaces. Yeah, but this has got 2 boots. So one is a front trunk, about 150 liters up here, and then in the back, you've got 420 liters. 420 liters, right here, just here, 420 liters. That's a total of 570 liters of boot space combined. Now that's class leading, if you ask me. For something that has the engine all the way in the back, that's pretty impressive. Nobody has done that before, and I mean, so that's number 2. So we've got 1 in terms of it has broken the rules because it's a mid-engined car, but it's a GT. 2, weight-wise, it's very light. It's super light. That's like 700 kilos less than a Bentley Continental GT. So that's also impressive. So they wanted to create a GT car that's still true to what McLaren stands for, and that's performance, lightweight, and just driving pleasure, pretty much. I haven't driven it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be fun to drive. So yeah, I believe that's how they've broken the rules, and yeah, they have. They really have. And I think it also looks beautiful. It just is. Just, I mean, have a look. It really is beautiful. Look at that. I mean, most of the previous models have all been just, kind of performance orientated. They're meant, to tear up the racetrack and blistering performance and things like that. But this is kind of toned down. I mean, I believe it still can do what the other McLaren models can do, but it's just a softer version on McLaren's interpretation of what a GT car could be like. And it's amazing. I really think it is. I believe it's got a 7-speed dual clutch transmission for seamlessly fast, quick shifting gearbox. I hope to take a hop on the inside just now. Just allow the gentleman to come out and I'll step inside.
When are you going to come and do that with me, John?
Okay, step on inside. Ooh-ha! Okay, bam. You sit pretty low. I hope you can see me. It's a little dark in here. And yeah, I just to block out the sound. Oh, okay. Welcome to the interior of the McLaren GT. Wow. These are very comfortable. So obviously the idea of a GT car is to take you on long distances in absolute comfort and luxury and practicality. That's one of the key points of a GT car. So imagine this, driving from Johannesburg all the way to Cape Town in just absolute luxury. That's the whole point of a GT car. So what am I seeing here? We've got a leather steering wheel with a bit of stainless steel or aluminum. I believe this is aluminum, as the Americans would say it. We call it aluminium, but that's okay, we forgive you. You've got some pretty massive paddles over here, and that's also pretty cool. You've got a nice screen. There it is. Come on, let's just focus. Okay. There's a nice digital screen over there for all your display. It shows you the speed, what gear you've selected, and all of that jazz. You got these cool air vents on the side that are stainless steel. I believe aluminum. One of the two. I'm not sure, but one of the two. Nice steering wheel just to show that it's a driver-focused car. You've got the telemetry there, a nice instrument screen over there. We've got the buttons. Obviously, you start the car there. If I press that, the dash lights up. So obviously, I don't have the key with me, but to start it up. But it is pretty loud out here. So you got a whole lot of buttons there. Got a start, stop. This is the EC. It controls. That's the traction control, I believe. And this is manual. You can tune it. Manual. I wonder what this does actually. I'll find out a bit later. Hopefully they will tell me. Active, I believe that's to put it into a more driver-focused, mode, sports mode, and things like that. Hazards, launch control, so that is pretty cool. You've got a traction control off button, and then drive, neutral, and reverse. Yeah, you got the parking sensor right over there. Bowers and Wilkins, obviously for a GT car, you're gonna probably want to play some tunes, right? So music is definitely a given. It's definitely a plus. So that is kudos to McLaren. Yeah, and it's all out pretty comfortable. Now let's have a look at the back here. If you look at the back, so 420 liters of boot space right there. Now McLaren does state that this material has actually been co-developed by NASA. So the engine is all the way back there, but in order to prevent the heat, the heat generated from the engine from coming into the luggage space, they have this special material. It's pretty hard to avoid, obviously, your luggage getting hot. So that is also pretty cool stuff. They have thought about everything. They have lowered the engine, I believe, 10 millimeters or 20 millimeters, so it's slightly lower than the previous cars from the other cars in the McLaren stable. And yeah, they've allowed for some boot space back there. This is also pretty cool. So this, I believe, will stop your luggage from falling onto you, pretty much. Another cool feature, let's just turn this camera around, is so the roof right above me has this function called telechromic, something like that. So what it means is, or what it does is, it at a touch of a button, it can become transparent. You press that same button, it becomes opaque and it's just all blurred out, so it blocks out the sunlight at the touch of a button. That's also pretty cool stuff. And I think one thing that I heard as well from one of the McLaren executives on the car came out was that all the lessons that McLaren has learned from the Speedtail, which is their limited edition, only 106 units were produced. That's kind of like the spiritual successor to the McLaren F1, but it's more of a Hyper GT. They made it, Hyper GT, so it's super comfortable, 3 seats and stuff. So they had to make it luxurious because it was a GT car. So they said that all the lessons that they learned from that car, they have actually kind of trickled them down into this. So this kind of makes this car baby of Speedtail, dare I say it, with McLaren over there, or I mean Aston Martin over there. Yeah, so this is pretty much baby of Speedtail. Aston Martin does Son of Valkyrie. So yeah, I think it's safe to say this is, yeah, baby of Speedtail. So yeah, it's very comfortable. I'm not the tallest guy, so I can't really give the dimensions in terms of height, width, and all of that jazz, but I fit comfortably in here. You've got all this Alcantara all over. It's really good quality materials. And also one of the guys that were presenting, I managed to have a brief chat to him, and he said that it's going to be the first time in the automotive industry that cashmere is going to be offered in the interior. I mean, how cool is that? Cashmere. I don't even know what the material is, but just from saying it, it's clearly luxurious. It just is. It just is. I can tell. Yeah, it is so cool. You've got ambient lighting in here as well, and it's, well, car's off right now, but if you had a little thingy, it would actually just show over there. So why don't we step outside, do a little walk around, and then we'll be out of here. So that's the interior pretty much, and it looks really cool. Really cool. Let's try it out. Okay. Alrighty. There we have it. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think of the McLaren GT? Now, starting price is 3.7 million rand. I think that's fairly priced. Given the market that it's entering into, it's not too exorbitant. None of that stuff. So, I think it's a cool car. Yeah, it's a really good first attempt. It's a really good first attempt at a GT car, and I think McLaren has absolutely nailed it. They've really gone to town on this, as the Brits like to say it, given that it's a British car, and it is still cool. It really is amazing. It really is amazing. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like this video if you've liked it. If you've enjoyed it, for more content, please subscribe, and I will see you in a future video. Cheers.